Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pickleball Jones. My name is Brad, and as always, I am joined by Doc. Doc, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Had a little problem with the Comcast people, but I'm not alone on that. So you get a monopoly, and yeah, you're going to have issues. But I don't want to digress. Let's get back to the matters at hand.
We thought the biggest news of the weekend or of the week was going to be gambling, and boy, were we wrong. And so the tour wars have officially started between the PPA and the MLP. And so I know that a lot of our listeners, because we don't have many of them, but a lot of them are people we know and love. And thank you all for listening and continuing to support our podcast
And
uh,
subscribing.
and subscribing. Thank you so much. They don't totally know what the PPA and MLP are, so I'm going to break that down real quick. So, in professional pickleball, there are two major leagues: the Professional Pickleball Association, or the PPA, and the Major League Pickleball Tour, I guess. And the differences between them are pretty substantial, I would say. The first is the PPA is very similar to how tennis is done. And so it is a tour model where individuals come and play, and they pick their partners, and they play in individual events. So they will play in a singles, mixed doubles, and doubles, and it's just very similar to how tennis is played. Major League Pickleball, on the other hand, is a totally different format, and it's a second league where teams are drafted, and so we have teams of four, and they are drafted by the various team owners. And nowadays, everybody from LeBron to Heidi Klum owns a team. Um, and there's a draft that takes place, and they actually play team versus team. And so these two groups or these two tours are coexisting, or were coexisting, up until Friday. And come Friday, what ended up happening is the MLP, so the Major League Pickleball Tour, aka the team one, was approached by an agency who represented a number um, of the talent, aka the pickleball players, and they kind of reached out to him and said, "Hey, you guys should start going and signing players to multi-year exclusive deals, meaning they can only play in the MLP and cannot play in the PPA." And the MLP went and started doing that. They did it, of course, during the Kansas City PPA tournament, and I mean, it was a straight up sneak attack. I haven't seen a sneak attack like this since I don't know, the Trojan Horse, or the bombing of Pearl Harbor, or even the Battle of Trenton when George Washington snuck in on the Hessians on
Wow.
Christmas.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's a little too
Yeah,
far,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they started signing up all the talent, and PPA had to respond. But essentially, what is happening is players, professional pickleball players, I'm going to say this: professional pickleball players are receiving deals that include not only health insurance, not only a 401k, but it's paying players upwards to $200,000 to $300,000 on average for a lot of these players. And these are not like the top of the this is not Ben Johns or Anna Lee Waters. Their contracts are rumored to be in the millions, but this is just like the run of the mill players making two to three. They're making like a real living, a really good living, being in the upper echelon to play pickleball. And so anyway, so the MLP had a huge head start. The PPA started going back and trying to sign up players too, and all hell really broke loose. And I would say how this kind of shook out, and I actually have a graphic to better explain it to myself, is the PPA went after the top talent. So they went after Ben Johns and Anna Lee Waters and tried to sign them up, meaning that they missed out on a whole lot of people. And so the MLP actually went after just a lot of people. And what so far to date, from the professional standpoint, there have been a total of 71 players signed by MLP, meaning the team-based one. And there's only 37 players who are signed by the PPA.
Hold it. 71 players.
71 players. making two to
Right.
300,000 per year for 3 years. Most of these contracts, and like again, I don't want to like. I'm very happy that players are making money and they're getting health insurance, but that's a lot of money, Doc. A lot.
How did they sign 71 players? There's only 48 that got drafted.
You're bringing up a great question here. You
Well,
have to.
no, nobody called me.
So that is something that's like going on where like people are starting to look up like the duper rating. And Doc, like your 3.5 isn't that crazy. There was somebody who's making over 200,000 who is a 4.6. That's only like one duper point above you. Like Tom Mappo was like a 4 something at some point. He could have been signed to a contract. Like you know what I mean? Like a 2 to 300,000 as a retired doctor. That could have been it.
Yeah, been nice. Supplemented Social Security. Yeah, that'd have been nice.
So anyway, again, I am not here. I am very pro players. I'm glad they're making their money. But when I think about other professional sports leagues that are bringing in the kind of revenue that the PPA and the MLP is. So, for instance, we learned the PPA brought in a total of $85 million last year in revenue. Revenue, not profit. That's some money. I would say that compared to the NBA, which brought in $10 billion, it's
Yeah.
nothing. But let's try to compare them to AAA baseball players or even D League basketball players. Like those people are probably making, I don't know, 50 to maybe 100,000. I doubt that they're even making that much. And yet run of the mill PPA players and MLP players are going to make 2 to 300,000. That is wild to me. But hey, good on them. Good on them.
But if you compared it, I have it written down here. Let's compare it to a similar sport. How about tennis?
Sure.
All right, men's tennis. The average earnings, this is earnings, tournament earnings, not endorsements or anything else. Okay, you
Yep.
with me?
I'm with you.
The top 10 men average $6 million.
Okay.
11 to 20 is 1.64. The 21st through 30th, 1.21. Anyway, you go all the way down to the 50th to 60th, they're making $700,000. You go down to the 300th.
Yeah.
300th ranked tennis player is making $140,000.
Yeah.
That seemed like a lot. 300? And women
But
is very,
this is an established sport though. You know what I mean? Like this is actually an established sport versus
it
pickleball
is.
where it's not even on TV. You know what I mean? Like it's sometimes on Amazon or like 3 different stations on the same weekend.
Well, then they're betting on the come. They're betting that it's going to happen. Pickleball's going to get on ESPN every other. I mean, that's where this is all going to be driven, I would think, is TV revenue. You're not
You
making
would
it, on our $5 ticket when we go sit in the grandstands or our $10 ticket. It's going to have to be the revenue. Again, I'm not an expert in how this is all going to finance out, but you would think the big come's going to be on the TV revenue. Has to be.
Yeah, I guess like in my mind, it is very cool that these players, these are like the pioneers, right? And typically pioneers don't get paid. So early NBA players, early NFL players, they all had to work another job, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, in order to pay for their hobby, which was being a professional player. And the pickleball players of today don't have to be that kind of pioneer. They actually are going to start making some money. So much so that like Anna Lee Waters' mom, Lee Waters, was like, "Oh, I'm back, baby. I'm coming out of
Yeah.
retirement, and I'm taking pay me, pay me."
Forget that ACL. Forget that I'm 45 or whatever the hell she is. Yeah, I'll take the money.
Yeah, and so it's very cool, I guess. I would say I would just be I'm very curious as to how this is going to work out. Also, like, if could you imagine if you owned an MLP team? Like some of these people bought an MLP team. I would say what in 2022. So like literally a year a year and a half ago, let's say. for $200,000. And nowadays, because all these famous people are getting involved or whatever, they're projecting these things to be upwards of $8 to $10 million to be able to buy a team, which is a big investment. But could you imagine being just a former doctor who's like, you know what, I really like this sport. I'm going to invest. I'm going to buy a team, and like, I just really want to support this thing. And now they're like, hey, by the way, you own this team, and also you have to start paying each of your players $200,000 to $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
What, you would shit your pants.
I would shit my pants, but I'd like to correct you. And it's not semantics. It's not a former doctor. It's a retired doctor.
Yes,
Okay.
my
Yeah, he's
mistake.
not former. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see how it all plays out. They got deep pockets. I mean, come on, the millionaires, billionaires, so it's small change, but none of these people want to actually lose money either. So
No.
it's not, they're not donating. So we'd have to see how it plays out and whether it goes the way of the ABA to the NBA in basketball or whether it goes the way that AFL with the NFL, how that all eventually worked itself out when there was a big salary war. And that's what led to the merger between the NFL and the AFL because
Yep.
the player salaries were getting out of hand. But the AFL had TV, both I think NBC and ABC or whatever. So they had a big presence. And the reason I believe, I'm not an expert, but the ABA did the same thing. Got Julius Erving, George McGinnis, a few other big names. But then, we're playing in front of 1,200 people, and they just never were on TV, and it just fell apart, and it just went by the wayside. Whereas the AFL was eventually able to merge with the NFL, and those were given, full ownership into the NFL.
The ABA and NBA did end up ultimately merge. I know that's where the Spurs came from, the Pacers. Those were former ABA teams, but I do know it was a complete shit show. Yeah, you're right. 4
Yeah,
teams, only
only
four, not the whole league.
four teams. Yeah, and the others
Yeah,
just were shit. They just collapsed. And,
yeah,
it's probably something's going to happen like that.
yeah.
There's not enough room for, all this APP and PPA and MLP. No, I don't think there's that kind of room for all those tours.
Doc, when we had talk about the two different tours and tour models, so one is more the tennis route where we have these very specific, like, hey, you're going to do individual events, you're going to pick your partners and things like that, or the other is the MLP, which is we've been to both, like, right, like the MLP is the team based one, very loud, very exciting, things like that. Which one do you prefer to watch, and which one do you think ultimately you would like the best?
I think that's the question. And my knee jerk reaction is MLP because when we watch it, and now that I know the players a little bit more, we have people we root against and root for. I like the MLP and the excitement and the team aspect. So that'd be my knee jerk reaction. But then I thought the equivalent would be, would you want to see like Ben Johns playing with the 40th ranked or 50th ranked player in MLP? Nah, you don't want Tiger Woods playing in some, best ball tournament with the, some guy, the 100th best pro player. You'd want to see Tiger Woods on his own, just like we want to see Ben Johns, Anna Lee. So I'm guessing probably PPA at the end of the day would be the preferred route.
Yeah, we were talking about it before, and I think it's like it's equivalent to do we want to see the PGA Tour as it is, where, Tiger or whoever is out there battling, trying to be the best, or the Ryder Cup every week? And I think the Ryder Cup is something that we enjoy watching. We like to see the team dynamic. We like to see America go up against some other countries and things like that. But at the end of the day, you don't want to see that every day. Like what I
No,
mean? It's something to see every like a month or every 2 months or something, but not, I don't want to see it every weekend.
no, Ryder Cup. That's why it's successful because what is it? Every 2 years or 4 years, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was every 3 to 4 weeks, no, I think it would not be a big fan favorite.
Yeah, and I should say that both now the PPA and the MLP are going to try and incorporate the other competitors, like their model into it. So the MLP is going to be a team-based one, but their plan is to have four major tournaments that are going to be more traditional, I would say, like more PPA based. And the PPA is going to try and have their own team based one, but only have like four team based things throughout the year or whatever. So they're both going to try and eat each other's lunch. And like to your point, I think ultimately it's going to end in a merger. Um,
Yeah. I am
I
going to
do want to.
miss the stories of good for them making money. The stories of like four of them staying in a Super 8
Yeah,
room because that's all they could afford and driving to the different tournaments. And now they're all
there
going
was
to be,
There was one girl we're at APP tournament, and now it's the I forget her name right now, but she's literally dating JW is the rumor right now. But she was at an APP tournament. We were talking to her, and she'd been living in her car. Like she just like
yeah.
drives to all these tournaments, lives in her car, and I was talking to the lady next to me, and she heard that story, and afterwards the lady next to me went and like told her like, hey, come live at my house for like the next week that you're in Arizona doing these things, and she ended up living with that lady, which was very kind of that
Yeah.
lady to take her in.
I'd
Anyway,
let
yes,
Ben Johns could stay at the condo out in Arizona when they play out there. I'd be
it's
welcome.
it's right next to the courts too. You can't beat it.
Well, you're down there in Mesa, and he could spend a couple weeks with you. Come up, spend up there in Scottsdale a couple weeks with me. It would be good.
It's great accommodations.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to read some names for you. So this is what the PPA has according to the top duper rating. Okay, so they have Annalie Waters, Catherine Parento. Guess who the next female is that they have signed according to a duper?
Megan Dizon.
No, they didn't sign her, but she's up there, I guess. The next one is Lee Waters, and then
Mm.
below that is Callie Joe Smith, and then like Mary Brassica, Elise Jones. Like that's what we got for women. On the men's side, they have Ben Johns, they have Matt Wright, they have Deckel Barr, and then they have Colin Johns. So like it's I don't
It's a
know. You know what I mean? Like
little.
it's gonna be rough on that side of things. Oh, they have Christian Alshon, of course, Annalie's boyfriend,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he's on
yeah,
there
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But that's what they got. So I mean, I don't know. That's a little rough. Versus MLP, Anna Bright, Paris Todd, Etta Wright, Vivian David, the Kawamoto sisters, Leah Jansen, Simone, Susan Barr. They got a ton. And then on the other side, Riley Newman, James Ignatovich, Tyson McGuffin, Fed, Thomas Wilson. Like they have a lot more names. So I guess like when you're thinking about this, Doc, who ultimately won? Do you want the lump sum of a bunch of pretty good people, or do you want those top two players? I don't know, in Ben Johnson and Lee Waters.
Boy, my first blush, I'd say MLP would be yeah, a little stronger, but you got the two big hitters, that drive the sport. Uh, with Annalie and Ben Johns. I didn't even think about, yeah, but you're more into the social dynamic of the pickleball players, but all the boyfriends and girlfriends had to go.
Oh, they all went together. So like James
Yeah, yeah.
Ignatovich and Anna Bright stayed together. Julian Arnold and Lauren Stratman stayed together. Like yeah, Anna Lee and the Tweeter
Yeah,
King.
what if there was like a mother and a daughter, they probably had to stay together.
They did. They did. One even had to come out of retirement to
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make it happen. Pay me, PPA.
yeah, baby.
Uh,
Hey, we're
two na-
mercenaries ourselves. We'll
Two
take
names you
anything.
haven't heard yet are JW and Dylan Frazier, and the reason
Ooh,
why is because they are holding out. And the thinking is Julie Johnson, aka JW, and Georgia Johnson's mom. They think that she is a good, strict negotiator, and she's holding out for the biggest thing. In fact, I heard the rumor is she's like trying to lobby to get a team. So then not only will her kids get paid, but she wants ownership of one of the teams, which good on her. I hope she gets it.
Yeah, nepotism at its best, right there. But yeah, if whatever tour if they go together, it sounds like they would.
Yep.
Well, the brother and sister will go together. The Johnson brother and
And
sister will go together.
Dylan's going to be doing the same thing too. That's why
Okay,
they're
you
all
throw
holding
him
out.
in. That really, whoever get, yeah, that'll swing the scales whichever way that goes. Yeah,
Yeah. No, so this is the other thing I would say. If you have Ben Johns, if you have Annalie Waters, the second tier to that group is so far removed, I feel like,
yeah,
that it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like I get that
yeah.
that the MLP has all these other people, but they're not even close to those people anyway. So you might as well bring new talent up and see if somebody can work their way up to like be towards them, even though they probably won't be,
Yeah.
but they'll probably at least get to a state where they can beat the shit out of the MLP people, or at least be close.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll go for that.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so biggest winners of the tour wars. I have one, the players, because they're getting paid, and like God bless them, they're getting paid. They're
Yeah.
getting health insurance. They're getting all the things that you would get, and so cool, good for you. I'd say the other biggest winner of the tour wars is going to be lawyers because there's going to be a lot of lawyer fees going on between these two groups. A lot of contracts are broken and shit like that, and contracts are written, and every time that is done, that's all lawyers making money. So,
Yeah.
to hell with those assholes. But congratulations, you won. Do you see any
Yep.
other winners in this, there, Doc?
No, no. Yeah, they're all going to have agents now, and yeah, it's all going to
Oh,
be.
I
Uh,
should say that it's probably the biggest winner. I think that's where this all kind of started from the beginning. Is some agency had all these players and like, hey, you know what? We're not getting our 10%. Let's stir some shit
yeah,
up here. And I think
yeah,
that's how this
yeah,
all started. And
yeah,
again, greed runs everything. And
yeah.
they saw an opportunity and they cashed in.
Imagine that the agents might have even been lawyers. Hmm. Imagine that. Yeah,
Follow the money. Follow the money.
yeah, you got that right.
Biggest losers, I say one is the fans. I guess like this is pretty exciting, like kind of seeing where everyone like goes to or whatever, and it kind of shows that in all sports, especially in America, I think free agency is like a really big deal. Like people love to follow free agency. I know, like even my sister will contact me all the time about NBA, like or who the Suns going to sign, what trades are happening, things like that. It happens in football. Like people love free agency, and I think this is kind of an exciting time. But ultimately, like the fans are pretty much big losers because now talent is split up and I don't know. It's just things aren't the same, and that sucks. I say the leagues are big losers. I feel bad for the PPA who got blindsided, but at the same time, they didn't pay any of their players for a long time and didn't like reimburse them at all. So to hell with them. So you can't really be like that sad for the league. But the last thing is the owners. Like some of these owners are about to pay they got way more than they bargained for in terms of these teams and things. And so we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see what happens.
yeah. I'm with you on the as far as the fans. It just seems to take away that you've talked about it several times, that uniqueness with pickleball, where you're sitting in the stands right next to the best player in the world, Ben Johns, or Annalie or whatever. That closeness you have. I think it's going to be now that those two were in the stratosphere anyway, but all of them now. I think it's going to be a little different. They're not going to be like the common folk like you and I. Yeah, it
Yeah,
might separate that, might take that away.
yeah, because
Uh,
now they're making money and things like that. And again, this is all to say if they actually get paid. We'll see once they actually get a paycheck and stuff like that. But I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know. It's
yeah,
just to your point. You're right. They will be different now. They will be because like before they were just the regular old people amongst us because they had
yeah,
nothing special. But now they're gonna be rolling
yeah,
in money. So
yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's what happened
Um,
with Dr. J. They couldn't pay him, and boom, that was the end
that's true.
when they had the money. Yeah,
Anyway, and my big hot take, I think, is again we talked about this earlier: is players don't just deserve all this money, and like I don't know, I hate to say it, I want them to have money. Obviously, I hope everyone gets their paycheck, but do I think they are like this is the sport where they're deserving of it? I guess at the end of the day, you're deserved what you're owed, and or what you have the leverage to negotiate, and they have the leverage to negotiate these ridiculous prices, and so who am I? Like you know what? Fuck it, like they deserve all of it.
yeah. I I guess they do. And so I believe in market or whatever. I'm not an economist, but supply and demand or whatever the market will bear for your services. And so if somebody's willing to pay them, they must have some value to somebody. So you
Yeah.
should get paid what your value is.
Yep.
Um, that's the way I think the way it should. Whether you're a male or female, you're going to make what you're worth, what people want to see. If they don't want to watch women's soccer, well, then you don't make as much. And if they want to watch women models, then they're going to make more than men models. That's the way I think it should work.
Yep.
So in that regard, I'm very happy. I think they should get what whoever will pay them for their services. On the
Yep.
other hand, this is a light-hearted show, and I don't want to get too deep into society here, but I think sports in general, it's god awful that these people make this much money. That I just think it's ridiculous. I don't think they have that much value to society. I think you in the field of oncology have much more to offer humanity than Alex Rodriguez making $500 million a year. I mean, it's just incomprehensible.
You
Or
say this.
Kim Kardashian she has no redeeming talent or quality that I can think of
Yep.
other than a sex tape. But other than that, I can't think of any. So I think it's a sad commentary on society, and I don't. This is a light-hearted, funny podcast, so we don't want
Yep.
to go too deep into it. So good for them. If somebody wants to pay them, go for it. Make $1 billion. On the other hand, I think it's society as a whole is not a winner.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah.
that's my take.
We won't get into it because, but yes, I know your take, and I
You've heard
respect
it,
the hell out of
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and then I got one other final prediction. So at some point we have to bring Rick onto this podcast, but I didn't have the capacity to teach him how to use the computer today. But he has been deep in the weeds with this type of stuff. But his big prediction is that the MLP and the PPA are way overpaying things right now. Eventually, they're going to go bankrupt. And he hopes the APP, which is like, we didn't talk about the APP, but the amateur professional pickleball players, that whole league just buys up both leagues for pennies on the dollar after they just bankrupt themselves for paying all these players like a ridiculous amount of money. So anyway, Dad,
Well,
that's a cool prediction. I like it.
get your checkbook ready because your father's been lamenting for the past 6 months that he didn't get you to buy in on one of these MLP teams.
Yep.
What you could have got in. What you know the figures better than I, but for under 100 grand or something, or a couple
200K.
200 grand. Yeah, now they're valued 5, 10 million, whatever they are. So your dad's been lamenting that, but now you may get your chance if all this goes belly up. Then you can come in and
Swoop it up, baby.
there you go, pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. All right. Well, there was a tournament that took place in Kansas City. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So the top story is Ben Johns and Matt Wright partner up. And so Ben Johns, greatest pickleball player ever, the GOAT, and Matt Wright, who is is the former partner of Riley Newman. And if you don't remember who Riley Newman is, he is the quote unquote second best pickleball player in the world, a certified asshole from everything that we have seen. But again, that's just my own
Yeah,
personal
that's just our
views.
take. Yeah.
We don't know. He might be a good guy, but from everything we hear, everything, his body language, the way he composes himself, he just seems like a dickhead. And like I don't know how to sugarcoat that.
Nope.
So he's the former partner of Matt Wright, and Riley Newman dropped Matt Wright because he was sick and tired of coming in second place. And so finally, Ben Johns and Matt Wright partner up because Ben Johns' brother isn't there. And lo and behold, guess who won? Ben Johns and Matt Wright. And we were really hoping like the brackets were set up where Riley Newman could have met his former partner in the finals. But guess who didn't show up once again? Riley Newman, because he lost, I want to say, not even in the semis. I forget when he blew his chance. In the quarterfinals, he lost once again to Tyson McMuffin and Big Papa Jimmy, a.k.a. James Ignatovich. And Riley was out again to the same team that beat them in the finals last week. So anyway, Doc, I'm going to stop talking there and let you talk some more smack.
Well, I think that's exactly where I'm going. I think we should have a ticker on our scrolling on the last time Riley Newman won a gold medal, and we could just because in rivalries in college, certainly if one rivalry school is getting the best of another, they say 2,000 days since Texas beat Oklahoma or whoever it is, Auburn beat Alabama or whatever it is, and you have it there, and we could have it on our screen 2,000 days since Riley Newman won a gold medal. That might be a little too much, but we've said it before. He's got to be kicking himself. Yeah.
Well, there's two big things that came out of this. So, I would say, going back to the tour wars, not to bring this all up again, but Riley Newman signed with MLP, which is the opposite league of the PPA. And the reason why he's quote unquote did that, the PPA actually offered him more money, but he was sick of losing to Ben Johns and wanted to go to the MLP. And I think the second reason why is in the MLP, you are put on a team, and so you're stuck with those people are stuck with you, I guess. And so Riley Newman can't lose any more partners for being an asshole because they're just stuck with that guy.
You really think that he would do that so he didn't have to play Ben Johns?
Apparently
In a
that
heartbeat. In a
absolutely.
heartbeat.
The man
Hell
wants
yes.
to win.
Yes. He doesn't give a shit. He wants to go. He doesn't care. Yeah.
He's probably hoping JW and Dylan Frazier don't come to MLP. He's like, I hope to God those guys don't come because then I'll really be in the clear.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the competition. I want to be Ben Johns.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Pretty funny. Okay, so Ben Johns and Matt Wright won pretty convincingly. Like, they beat the crap out of most teams. I would say in the finals, they did play J.W. Johnson and Dylan Frazier. They were cruising at 8-0 start in both the first and the second games, but they blew their leads. And in fact, in the second game, they ended up losing to JW and Dylan, but it wasn't that big of a deal. At the end of the day, Ben Johns kicked ass and they won in 4, so not too big of a deal. Which brings me to my question, Doc: how bad of a partner could Ben Johns have and still win the finals in a PPA tournament?
Well, I think we've found it.
Go ahead.
Your partner has to have 2 legs. He couldn't win with his brother on 1 leg. His brother had 1 leg.
Yep.
And he couldn't win. So I think if you have 2 legs, that would be the criteria. As long as you have at least 2 legs, Ben Johns is going to win.
Do you think if Ben Johns trained you for 2 months, he gave you the strategy, like you had a 2-month training with Ben Johns, and he kind of put you into maybe 5% of the court, do you think you guys would have a chance? You know what I mean? You wouldn't be over. The biggest thing is you have to be able to protect yourself from them just hitting it at you all the time.
Yeah, I could stand off the court.
You can just stand. You can stand like an Ernie, where you're just on the right side. You're just there to hit backhand to Ernie's.
He would. You could beat almost everybody, or he could take me and beat almost everybody. Probably anybody but the top 15 teams or 20 teams with me.
That's how good this dude is. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't even matter that the MLP has all those other people, because Ben Johns is so much better than them that the difference between him and the second tier MLP people versus him and all the other people we don't even know yet is the same. It's just they're just in a different stratosphere.
But that's really a 70-year-old guy. I'm afraid I'm going to get it. If I get hit in the head and I get a concussion, look what happened to Jesse Irvin. Mm-hmm. I don't want that to happen to me. My butt will be on TV for 15 minutes. So I can't have that. But seriously, if he took you, much younger, more skilled, I think in 2 months you would, I know that they're going to try it, but they can't target you because he takes the whole court.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a question. I would if we see Ben Johns, if we see him in like since wherever we end up like going for one of these tournaments, we will ask him. We're gonna say like, hey, I'm like just a run of the mill 3-5. How many pros could we beat if it's you and me versus them? And I bet you he'll give us a straight answer. We'll ask him. We'll ask him next time we see him.
Well, we liked it when Tyler Loong and Jimmy, yeah, Miller, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
yeah, when he said, "How many points you think I could score off you?" And he goes, "You couldn't score a point." You know, so these guys are highly confident in
Yeah.
their
But
in
that
their
is true. Like you know what I mean? Like there's not like against like a professional basketball. Like how many points are you gonna score against a professional basketball player? You ain't scoring any points against a professional basketball player. You would literally have to just like turn around and shoot it behind your back and just hope that it goes in. That's the only way
yeah.
you're scoring on anybody in the professional world. And I don't know. But that being said, Jimmy talked today. He said that if he was ranking himself against women, he'd be the sixth best woman because I guess him and Hayden Patrick lost, but almost beat 14-16 Leia Jansen and Tyra Hurricane Black. And that was pretty close. And so he was like, I think I'm the sixth best woman in professional pickleball.
Oh Jesus! Here we go again, John McEnroe. We're talking about Serena Williams. Oh my God, we're gonna. But he probably would be. I've never seen him play, but he probably is.
All right. And so anyway, Ben Johns went on to win the Triple Crown. Annalie Waters also won the Triple Crown.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's shocking.
Never would have guessed. One thing I thought was really fun is Annalie Waters and Ben Johns beat the living crap out of Newman and Jesse Irvin. So once again, Riley Newman just can't. I think they had a total of 4 points in 3 games. Yeah. Anyway,
All right, how come you're into all the inner happenings? How come he's not playing with his sister, Riley? Because I made that fateful prediction that they were going to pick off Anna Lee and Ben Johns before the end of the year. What's going on? Why aren't they playing together?
that's a good question. She is playing. She did sign with the MLP, which is where he signed. So I'm
Oh,
guessing.
she can't stand her brother?
No, I'm getting no. They signed together. They signed in the same group.
No, but I'm saying, why isn't she playing with them?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I have no idea. I
That's what
will.
I'm saying.
I'll ask it to the group. It probably is that. You know what I mean? You just got to have a little space every once in a while. Like I could do it for a little bit. I got to do it. I got to stop. I got to take a break. Got to take a break.
Yeah.
The best match of the weekend, I would say, was a couple. Like this was a good one. Annalie Waters and Ben Johns faced off against Annalie Waters' boyfriend, the Tweener King, Christian Alshon, and Hurricane Tyra Black, who beat Annalie recently in a singles competition. And so it was a very good match. I would say definitely check it out. At one point, so Ben Johns goes and like defends a lob and is completely off the court. Annalie Waters attacks with her backhand, hits like 3 in a row, and then finishes it with like this insane backhand that had the most wicked angle I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll put a link to it in the show notes or something. It was quite the spectacle.
Right. I saw that highlight right
Yep.
past her boyfriend.
Christian.
Oh man, that is cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. Let's see. Annalie Waters and Catherine
No
Parento.
sugar tonight. No sugar for you. No sugar tonight.
Well, he's overage and she's underage, so I don't even want to think about that anyway.
Just saying.
Annalie Waters and Catherine Parento were teaming up, and they faced off against Anna Bright and your girl, Megan Dizon, in the finals. Yeah, Anna Bright and Megan Dizon, they got a game.
And good for Megan to get to the finals.
Yeah.
You know? So good for her.
Ben Johns didn't drop a single game in singles, so I don't know. It's just again, they're just different. They're different tiers. Other notes from the weekend: it was hot as crap in Kansas City. It was 105 degrees. lots of balls were actually missed. So like people were not hitting their drop shots like they normally do. And the reason why is the ball was softer. And so you just saw a lot of like players hitting the net, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And Anna Lee Waters, who usually has that wicked backhand, she couldn't generate enough power. And this only came up one time in a singles tournament, or in the singles tournament. She went up against Lena Pedagamente. Anyway, her mom was like freaking out. Was like, "Hey, you got to stop trying to hit it hard. It's not working. It's too hot out." And I thought that was very interesting.
Her mom freaking out. Another shocker.
Never would have guessed. People were just drenched in sweat, and even one of the referees collapsed because it was so hot. So,
okay.
Yeah. Be careful out there. All right. So this week you called me and told me that I was saying Tyson McGuffin's name wrong, and you thought I was calling him McMuffin, not on purpose, but because like I thought that was his name or something. Anyway,
ignorance would be the word.
I know his name is McGuffin. I like to call him McMuffin because I like McMuffins and I like to support McDonald's any way I can. McDonald's, if you want to be a sponsor of our podcast, we would love it. Even if you just give us a free fry every once in a while, we're in.
Yeah, something. Come on.
He came back from 3-10. He was down 3-10 to Federico, and came back to win that game, and then ended up beating Fed in 2. But I just thought that was really impressive. Also, in watching Fed, he dresses exactly like Ben Johns, and it throws me off because I see him like when he's on the other side of the court watching on TV, and I'm like, oh, it's Ben Johns, and it's just Fed, and I'm just like, oh man, I gotta watch that.
They should have a rule like with Tiger Woods. Nobody else could wear red on Sunday.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't dress like that. You can't beat the GOAT. No.
So we talked a little bit about Anna Lee Waters not giving any love to Christian Alshon or whatever. Well, the Tweener King lost in his single tournament and beat the crap out of his paddle once again. So, more of that. And then
I could watch that all day.
I got one more for you. We had a concussion watch this week. Ben Johns took one to the dome from Dylan Frazier once again. Dylan Frazier was also the person who hit Jesse Irvine and who started concussion watch to begin with. But needless to say, Ben Johns shook it off immediately and was perfectly fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. It didn't stop the match for 30 minutes, did they?
No, they did not.
And by the way, why don't we have a video of that?
We do. I just didn't pull it up right now because I'm lazy and my internet connection here in Missouri is not great.
All right.
Anyway, that was my notes from Kansas City. You got anything extra there, Doc?
Not from Kansas City, no.
All right. Well, I got one more for you is around sports betting. So I only placed one sports bet this whole weekend because I could not place the bets and I had to use your son instead. And he wasn't the most responsive, I would say. But, well, the first bet we saw was Newman and Jesse Irvine were minus 110 versus two names I had never seen before. And I was like, bro, you got to jump on that immediately. And that line jumped up to minus 450. And we are going to explain all of this in the upcoming sports bet one. But needless to say, that was an easy win on the books. And now we are 1-0.
No, you're just skimming over it. That's an excellent intro. An inline betting that we talked about that we're going to go over. Inline betting, you got the line at minus 110 or minus 120. So, you bet $100 to win 80. And in 5 minutes, it was minus 450 where you had to bet $400 to win $100. So that was tremendous value. And we're going to show you how to jump in there. And inline betting, like I said, very exciting. It's a good way to cash in. High risk, high reward.
The other thing we're going to teach you while we explain to you Sports Betting 101 is that there are no favorites when money is on the line. And even though we talked mad shit about Riley Newman this entire podcast, I quickly placed a bet on that man because that is good money. That's good value. And I'm all about winning. And I will root for Riley Newman if it means I will win money in the meantime.
Hey. Emotion has no place in betting.
That's right.
You can see all this red and white behind me in Indiana. And I'll bet on Kentucky if I can make money. So in certain situations.
There you go. So
But yeah, emotion has no place in the betting world.
So for all of our current fans and things like that watching, be on the lookout. This week we are going to have a sports betting 101 podcast coming, and we're just going to walk through all the things you need to know to bet sports in general, but especially pickleball. So stay
Yeah,
tuned later this week. We have some special guests coming in. Our favorite degenerates slash professional gamblers are going to be coming.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a little subdued. I got off to a rough start here in the first weekend of college football, but never fear. I'm ready to come back and gonna hit it strong this weekend. And so yeah.
I won my Notre Dame bet, and I didn't even know what I bet. So I'm crushing it over here.
I love it when you leave cash at the house and I take it to the casino to bet the sports bet and tell you you won. So
Whatever you need, whatever you need. Okay, Doc, that's what I got. I'm going to do some quick housekeeping, but do you have anything more before we
no,
before we start wrapping things up?
other than the sports betting, I think that kind of got pushed on the back burner with all the merger, and but I think that's actually going to be more exciting for a lot of our viewers and subscribers betting in pickleball.
Especially once they start making some money, like then they're really going to care.
Yeah, all you
Uh,
have to do is hit a couple, and then yeah, you're hooked.
that's it. Well, if you've made it this far, please give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Download and listen to us anywhere where podcasts are available, and leave us a 5-star review. Not one, not two, not three, not even 4 stars.
No,
Leave
no,
five
go
stars because
five,
that is
five,
going to
five,
help
five.
us. Uh,
Yeah,
and please recommend us to a friend. Go ahead and just like share and like say like, hey, like give us a listen because that is going to help us reach our ultimate goal of getting 100 viewers on YouTube. And if
yeah,
we can make that
yeah.
happen, we are going to throw the
Uh,
biggest party.
yeah.
All right, man, that's all I got. I will catch you soon. We will be live together this week, and where we'll be
With,
bringing you talking about sports betting, baby.
with our special guests. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Peace.
Peace.
See ya.
Very good.